One time he brought Man of Miracles. And of course, mommy, daddy, and we devoured that book and we were taken. My parents decided, you know what, we're going to get you married. It was not an easy relationship. Swami came into my life and of course, he knows what I need, when I need it. And his grace is so definitely like morphine that it gives you the strength to get through the difficult times.
Sai Ram, dear listeners. Welcome to Sai Soul 100. Our guest today is Sister Shailaja Ravindran, who's joining us from Newark, Delaware. Sai Ram, Sister Shailaja, thank you for joining Sai Soul 100.
Sai Ram Piraba, thank you for having me.
Sai Ram, please share your story.
What I'm going to share is a personal story, my experience with Swami and how he has shown me that he has been with me through thick and thin. So when I look back at my life thus far, I know that he's always been with me, is with me. His grace is like morphine, because through the hard times, it wasn't as hard as it could have been. So and he has said that also, that his grace is like morphine when we go through difficult times. So, he has shown me his presence when he knew I needed it and given me the strength through some difficult times. So what I'm going to share is how me and my family came to Swami and some of them kind of personal experiences that I have been through and how Swami has held my hand and guided me through it. So I grew up in Bombay, Mumbai now, but when I was growing up, it was Bombay. So I probably will keep saying Bombay. So it was in the 60s, and we grew up in a part of Bombay where Swami actually used to come and stay in the chief minister's bungalow across the street. But at that time, Swami was a young man. There was a lot of rumors about him and about this boy who did miracles, this young man. And, so at that time, Mummy was like, mm-mm. So when there were big crowds come to see him, she would drag us the other way. So it was not my time. So we did not go to Swami at that time. So around 1981, my father retired. So we had to move from the company flat, as we call it in India, to a suburb of Bombay. And Daddy used to take the train down to the city and go to the library. That was the British Council Library. And so one time he brought Man of Miracles. And of course, mommy, daddy, and we devoured that book and we were taken. So, and soon after, Swami came to Dharmakshetra, to Bombay. And my mother was there day in and day out, leave early in the morning, come back late at night. I went a few times. Crowds are not crazy like they became later. But I, got to see Swami actually materialize candy and throw candy to the crowds. And so it was a very, it was a wonderful experience for me. It was, of course, my first time seeing him. And, then life went on. Since we had moved to a suburb of Bombay, and I was doing my bachelor's at that time, and I had to go into the city. So my mother was not too thrilled with the location where we were living. So we wanted to move closer to the city. And it's very hard at that time in Bombay to be able to, sell a flat and buy a flat. You needed money. You needed that cash sometimes. And Daddy did not have liquid cash at that time. So, we had put the word out to put the house up, the apartment up for sale. And one day this lady came by. She was an older lady with gray hair, with one long braid. And she wore pink shorts. Pink outfit with pink shorts. And, we have never seen anybody like this before, And so we were wondering, and as soon as she saw the flat, she was like, yeah, I want it. I'll come back in a couple of days with the money. She came back a couple of days later, literally with a dirty looking bag with lakhs of rupees. And the transaction was very easy. Daddy got the money. He was able to buy the other flat, and that lady disappeared and we never ever saw anybody like her again. So Daddy was like convinced that was Swami come and just help with that transaction. And so that just increased our, devotion to Swami. It's just like, because it was kind of an odd situation. We have, like I said, we've never seen anybody like that. So so I was doing my bachelor's, and actually I was waiting for my green card. Both my brother and sister were here in the US, and my sister had sponsored me for a green card, but for some reason, even though I'd got admission in the universities for grad school, I couldn't get a student visa because I was on another petition for a green card. So I had to wait my turn, and so I decided to do my master's in microbiology. And so then almost finishing my master's, and still my green card hadn't come. So my parents decided, you know what, we're going to get you married. So, so they found somebody, and, we went out for a bit, got married, and it was not an easy relationship. And so the rest of what I'm going to say is mostly about that marriage. So I guess I'm going to refer to him as my ex-husband, because now he's not my husband right now. But so it was a difficult time. I came back to my parents' home a few times. As I said, the relationship was not great. So one of the times I came home, and I told my parents, I can't do this. And I stayed with them. And then I had a dream. And so it was a Baba dream. And in that dream, Baba was saying, come to Puttaparthi. So I told my parents, I want to go to Puttaparthi. This was in the 80s, mid 80s. And then, so we were like, we've never been there. We don't know how to go there. What do we do? And no sooner than that, we hear a knock on the door a couple of days later, and my father's second cousin shows up. And so Daddy just happened to mention to her, because he knew she was a Sai devotee, and he just happened to mention to her, he said, Shailaja wants to go to Puttaparthi. How are we going to do this? And she said, oh, okay. Apparently she was on the World Council, whatever that was at that time. She said she was on the World Council. She said, don't worry, I've been to Puttaparthi many times. I'll take you all. So we were soon on a train to Puttaparthi at that time. We took a train, then you took a bullock cart, then we took a bus, and, and then we reached Puttaparthi. Most of that, and at that time, there were not that many crowds. Sai Kulwant was not there. We sat on the sand, and Swami was staying in that building where the mandir is, above the mandir. And, we were there for 2 or 3 days, had really nice darshan. So Daddy's on the men's side. So what I had done was I had taken my marriage certificate and put it into an envelope with a letter saying, Swami, if you think I should go back, please bless this marriage certificate. Daddy is on the other side, on the men's side. He gets Pada Namaskar. He gives a letter to Swami. And so and in that letter, he says, please guide my daughter. So Swami comes to the women's side. I hold my letter up with the marriage certificate. The people around me also holding their letters up. He takes this, he takes this, he takes that, he takes that. And mine, he just puts his hand on it. So for me, it was a clear message. I'm blessing this. Go back. So it was very clear for me. So when I came back to Bombay, I spoke to my now ex. I said, okay, this is the message I got. And then we kind of laid out the ground rules, I'm going to say. And I did go back. But in the meantime, during that, it was almost 4 or 5 months we were apart. But I had applied for grad school because I couldn't come to the US. I had applied for Canada. So I had got admission at the University of Alberta in Edmonton for my PhD in microbiology. Foreign student, I know nobody. So I had actually been in touch with the Indian Student Association there, and of course with my PhD advisor. And then my brother-in-law told me, oh, who's coming to pick you up? I'm like, I don't know, because I've not been in touch with them. We didn't have phones and all at that time, right? So it was always telegram or something like that. So I said, I don't know, I'm showing up. And he was like, no, you can't do that. You have to call somebody. So we found some relative who lives in Calgary. I called the relative, and she knew somebody who was in Edmonton. So she said she would come. So lo and behold, 3 people show up at the airport to pick me up, and I have to choose which one I'm going with: my PhD advisor, my Indian Student Association president, and Jaya, my friend. So I went to Jaya and went to her apartment, and the first thing I see is Baba's picture there. So I'm like, okay, whew, I know Swami's there. Swami's taking care of me. And so with Jaya, so I used to actually every Friday evening come walk back from university, stay with her. We would go to the Sai Center, so I had a really great time. My husband at that time, ex-husband now, did get in. He didn't get into the same university. He got into another. So we used to meet off and on. And of course, Swami's will, I got pregnant. And I was alone in Edmonton. So my mother came and stayed with me, while I was going through the pregnancy. So it's very interesting in Canada at that time. I don't know how it is now, but since I was a student, I went to the student healthcare center. You go to a gynecologist for the first 6 to 7 months. Everything was going well. He said, baby's heartbeat is good. You're doing fine. Everything's fine. The last two months, they send you to an obstetrician. So he took one look at me and said, oh, no, you're small. We need to see if maybe the, baby's growth is being restricted. So let's do an amniocentesis and see if baby's lungs are mature. And if baby's lungs are mature, we will induce you and get the baby out. Got myself admitted. They did the amniocentesis. They said baby's lungs are mature, so we will induce you the next day. Mummy was with me. Daddy had also arrived. My ex was still in the other university in Ontario. And I was scared. I was lying in this ward where they had all the women who had difficult pregnancies. And I was like, oh, Swami, what's going on? I'm scared, is everything going to be all right? So I was actually crying, and I was, lying in the bed crying. And then Mummy came, and then Daddy came. And Daddy said he had just got a letter from a friend, Sai devotee in India. And in that letter were 2 little pictures of Swami, literally 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter picture of Swami. And he said, they said to give it to you. And I was like, whoa. So for me, the message was, even if it's small, even if you're small, it can be perfect. And so once I saw that, it kind of calmer, I relaxed, and baby was born the next morning, very quick delivery, 2.5 hours of labor. And baby popped out, and he was small, but, everything went well. And so it was again Swami saying, at the right time, right? That picture just came the day before he was born. So, everything went all right. After Adi was born, I had a dream. I had a Baba dream. And in that dream, Swami was walking and my ex-husband and husband at that time, were standing facing each other, talking. We were just standing like this. And Swami came and stood between us, and he did this. So I got up. I kind of knew what he was saying, but I didn't do anything about it. I just pretended like it didn't happen, right? But now looking back, I think I needed to go back for my son to be born. And the purpose of that union was over now. The child was born to these 2 parents. That was his karma, and it's over. The purpose is over. But anyway, I didn't want to do anything about it. I just continued. I was still finishing my PhD in Canada. He got a job in the US by that time. The green card thing got sorted out. He got his green card. I got my green card, and he was able to come to the US. And then I joined him later. So I joined him in Orlando, and then I got a job at the University of Florida. My first day there. And so I go to the budget office, and this lady says, hi, I say, hi. She says, are you from India? I said, yeah. And she says, do you know Sai Baba?
Wow.
And I'm like, yes. And, so that was, again, my first day at my new job. I'm taken care of. After that, we became very good friends. In fact, she and another third lady, we used to have lunch together every Friday. And we used to talk about Swami, or we used to talk about some spiritual thing and kind of helped me through what I was going through at home, helped me keep grounded. It was a citrus research center. So there was a citrus tree near the building. And there was one night I had a dream where Swami was standing near that tree in front of the building where I worked. So again, I felt like Swami is here, Swami is with me. Son was growing up. And then around 4 years of age, my ex said to me that some astrologer said to him that after 5 years, there will not be mother's influence. I don't know what that means. Am I going to die? Or is something bad going to happen to me? So I was really nervous. So as Adi's fifth birthday was coming, I was like really worried. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? So one day I picked him up from preschool, and I was trying to calm myself. And I said, you know what, let me just pull out a Swami book and read just to calm myself down. Just happened to pick up Ishwarama book and The Chosen Mother, that one. And, I just happened to open the page to, there's a picture of her, big picture of her with a big bottu, a big bindi, this one. And it was just covered with vibhuti, big circle of vibhuti on exactly where her bindi was. And I showed it to my son, and we were like, whoa, and again, for me, message was, cool it, take it easy. I'm here, nothing's going to happen. So we went to 1996. We went to Puttaparthi, and we were there for 3 weeks. My first trip, my son's first trip to India.
So you were going to Parthi as a center?
Yeah, we were just like 7 of us.
Okay.
While we were flying to Puttaparthi from Orlando, so I was like looking pretty ragged by that time. I had dark rings on my eyes, had lost some weight. And so we all booked our tickets together to go to Puttaparthi. So we're going to fly Orlando to Chicago. And so my son, I think he had gone to the bathroom on the plane, and suddenly out of the blue, I was down in the dumps, right? So suddenly the air hostess comes up to me and says, excuse me, the crew, we have unanimously decided that you have the most striking personality on this plane. I'm like, where did that come from? Why would anybody say that? Kind of bizarre, right? And then she said, so she gave me some extra candy. She says, because of that, here's some extra candy. And of course, I gave it to Adi. But I was like thinking back now, again, it was just Swami lifting my spirits, so that, because I was pretty down in the dumps. And then added to that, as I said, we all booked our tickets together. So we fly from Chicago by Gulf Air to Bombay. And Adi and I get bumped up first class. So only we. So, Gulf Air first class, you have silver platter, all fancy food. And, so all our friend devotees, they come complaining to us saying, we are sitting outside the toilet and look at you guys sitting there. I'm like, we didn't do anything. We just got it, But it was just, again, going back to Swami was kind of saying, it's not all that bad. We went there, we had a good time. So, during one of the darshans, Swami came and he stood right in front of me. So I got to touch his feet while everybody around me was saying, Swami, interview. We came back, and then, I was trying to figure out what I should do. And, I came back, I was doing some of the Phyllis Crystal's meditations to just help me with the situation. I also thought, maybe I should start looking into what are the steps if I need to get a divorce, what are the steps I need to take? So I started reading books, started talking to people. And then, but I still did not want to take action because I knew Swami had blessed the marriage, right? I had a dream then. So in that dream, Swami and I are walking. I even see Hislop in the dream. He's standing somewhere far away. I see Hislop, and then Swami and I are walking. And then he materializes some vibhuti for me and gives it to me. It was kind of a pale yellow vibhuti. I still don't know why it was pale yellow, but it was pale yellow. He materialized it and gave it to me. And then he started talking, he says, about my situation at home. And so I said, okay, I should take this opportunity and ask him. So I said, Swami, is it okay to get a divorce? And he said, yes, there's nothing more to be done. But he won't give it. So I don't know what that he won't give it meant. There was a bit of resistance in the beginning. Ultimately, it came through. After that, boom, 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 I, spoke to the lawyer, and, I went through the process. So as you can see, it was a rough time, but, I had Swami's hand throughout, holding me. A final dream, I just want to end kind of with that story. So, the divorce is settled. My son was going to school. I was a single mom. My mother's with me. Just, mother or father were with me, helping me raise my son. And I was in this dream. I was in Puttaparthi, and Swami is, I was for some reason on top of some terrace of a building, and Swami is down walking. So I'm looking down, and then he looks up and he sees me, and then he rises. He rises and he comes to my level and he's floating. And then I climb out of the terrace, and then I hug him like a child. You know how you put your legs around a mother? And I put my head on his shoulder, and I'm just holding him that way, like a mother holding the child. And I don't know how long that lasted, but I woke up then. So, thinking that dream, for me, I still get goosebumps when I think of it, because I can still experience it. And it just brings back that, the poem, The Footprints, where, he says to God, where were you when I was going through all the hardship? There's only one set of footprints. He says, that's when I carried you, And so for me, I know Swami was with me and there with me and helped me, guided me through all of this. And like I said, even till today, I actually can experience that dream over and over again. And, since then, I'm remarried. Swami sent a wonderful man into my life. Some of you all have met him. He was involved in the tree planting last year, the retreat. I'm also proud and grateful about my son. I'm grateful to Swami. And I always, Swami told us, they come through us from him, our kids. And I always tell my son, Swami will be there like that. So if ever you're in any trouble, call on Swami first before you call me. So looking back, at my life, Prabha, just finally just say, just grateful that Swami Swami came into my life. And of course, he knows what I need, when I need it. I was able to come out of it, and here I am. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sister Shailaja, what a beautiful story. You narrated it with a smile on your face, and I can only imagine what that journey would have been like. And without Swami holding on to you and literally carrying you through it, I don't think you'll be able to narrate it the way you narrated it right now. And I love that dream that you narrated at the end, where Swami is acknowledging the fact that he's right there with you and holding on to you. You holding on to him, or he's holding on to you, carrying you. Regardless, he's right there with you. And that's such a sweet dream. And love that poem of Swami, where were you when I needed you most? And he would say, that's because I was carrying you.
Yeah.
And he certainly has carried you through, and he will continue to carry you forward as well.
Yep.
So Sister Shailaja, thank you for joining Sai Soul 100 and for sharing your beautiful story.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabha.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, dear listeners. Thank you for listening to Sai Soul 100. I'm Prabha Swaminathan. Until next time, Jai Sai Ram.